Hello student, welcome you to Mohan Sir's classes. This is the part 2 of your geography's second chapter, land resources. In this video class we will learn about soils and different layers of soils which is available in India. Then we will learning land degradation and the land conservation. That means in which are the way or in which way we can conserve the land, that we will be learning in this video class. 2.3 Soil. When we talk about land resources, the focus is generally on the soil and its fertility. That means when we are talking about the land resources, so generally we focus on what? The soil and its fertility. Soil is the most important component of land resources. What is the most important component of land resources? Soil is the most important component or thing of land resources. It is the thin top of the thin top layer of earth in which vegetation grows. So what is soil? Soil is a thin top layer of the earth. It is the thin top layer of the earth on which vegetation, grass, trees, plant grows. Soil is formed by the weathering of rocks. So how is soil formed? It is through the weathering of rocks. That means according to as the weather changes, the because of the hot temperature and the water, through all this process what happen, the stones break into pieces and convert into sand. From the sand again it is convert into the soil or mud. So this is the process of soil. So how it is formed? It is formed by weathering of rocks. Temperature variation and vegetation play an important part in this process. As just I said that temperature variation and vegetation, they play an important part in this process. In this process in the sense that means the changing of rocks into the soil or mud. Over time, water and temperature fluctuations gradually break the rocks into small pieces. So it is said that over time, water temperature fluctuation gradually break the rocks into smaller pieces. That means as the time changes or the water temperature mix, what happen? The temperature fluctuation gradually what happen? Break the rocks into smaller pieces. Just add as I said earlier. The fine particles of the rocks mix with the remains of plants and animals. That means the particles are the things which after breaking from the rocks, the pieces, they mix with the plants and animals. Over a long period of time, this mix gets converted to soil. That means as the years by years goes or the after long period of time, this what happen? This particles mix gets converted to soil. So in this paragraph we learn that so when we talk about the land resources, generally we focus about the soil and its fertility. And soil is the one of the important part of the land resources. And it is the thin layer of the upper part of the earth where vegetation grows. So soil is formed by the weathering of rocks. That means as the temperature changes and with the changes of with changing of temperature and vegetation also play an important role in this process. That means the forming of soil. As the time goes, water, temperature, all these fluctuations gradually break the rocks into smaller pieces, and these smaller pieces mix with the plants and animals, and as the time goes or as the time over, then they mix and gets converted to the soil. So this is the process that soil is being made. Next paragraph. Plants get nutrition from the soil. Animals and other living creatures depend either directly or indirectly on plant for their foods. So, what does this sentence says? Plant gets their nutrition from the soil. All the vegetation, plants, and everything, they get nutrition from where? From the soil. Animals and other living creatures depend either directly or indirectly on plants for their food. Listen carefully. Plants get their nutrition from the soil, but when you talk about the animals and other living creature, either directly or indirectly, they get food from where? Food from the plant. Next, apart from its role in providing nutrition to living things, soil is also used for making bricks, utensils, toys, tiles, etc. So, what does this sentence says that? That means soil is not only providing nutrition to the living things. Listen carefully. Soil is not only providing nutrition to the living things, but also it is used for what? It is used for making bricks, utensils, toys, tiles, etc. Understood? That means soil is not only used for or not only providing nutrition to living things, but also it is used for making bricks, utensils, toys, tiles, etc. Next, most rural houses have walls and floors plastered with soil. Nowadays we have the concrete houses, but even then, okay, if you go to rural area or the village area, we can find that maximum houses, they have plastered their wall with soil, or they have the mud house. That means those houses are constructed and plastered with the soil. So what we learn from this paragraph? We learn from this paragraph is that plants get nutrition from the soil. Animals and other living creatures, either directly or indirectly, they get food from the plants. That means soil is not only providing nutrition to the living things or living creatures, but also by using soil, we make bricks, utensils, toys, tiles, etc. And if you go to rural area, maximum houses, walls, and the floors are plastered with the soil and mud. Next paragraph. If you observe the foundation of a house or a well while it is being dug, you can see that the soil is spread in layers. That means for constructing a house or for digging a well, while we are digging. So what we find? We find that there are different layers of the soil are spread. Understood? For making house, usually we dig foundation, or for getting water we dig well. So when we dig those things, we find that different kinds of layers of soil. These horizontal layers are called soil horizons. Understood? These horizontal layers are called what? Soil horizons. These horizons can be divided into three parts. These horizons can be divided into three parts. What are that? Organic layer, mineral layer, and bedrock layer. Understood? While we dig foundation or dig well, we find that there are different layers of soil, and these layer of soils are called what? Soil horizon. Soil horizons. And these soil horizons can be divided into three parts. What are that? Organic layer, mineral layer, and bedrock layer. So we can look at the picture below. Look at over here. So this is the image of soil horizon. The bottom layer is the bedrock layer, which is also called R layer. Look at below, or look at this picture. This button, this part is called what? This is the bedrock layer. This is the bedrock layer, and this is also called what? R layer. This will called R layer. Look at the image here. It is mentioned R. That means what? It is a solid rock. Next, soil is formed by the weathering of rocks that form this layer. That means from this layer, the soil is formed by the weathering of the rocks. Next, above the bedrock layer of the layer, there are the C and B. That means this is the bedrock layer, and above the bedrock layer we can find what? C and B. Look at the image, C and B. C means what? Substratum, and B is what? Subsoil. Next, we also found what? A. A is mean what? This is called what? Surface. And O. O means what? This is organic layer respectively. Understood? The last one is bedrock layer, and above the bedrock we have C. C means what? Substratum. B means subsoil. A means surface, and O is what? Organic layers. Organic layer. This is the topmost layer which O and A are included. That means this organic layer is the upper part of the earth, and in this part O and A are included. Understood? This organic layer is the upper part of the earth, and here O and A layer are included. The O layer contains humus, which is the decomposed remains of plants and animals. Listen carefully. The O layer, which one? This is the O layer. This is the O layer, and here what we get? We get humus. That means the decomposed of what? Plants and animals. Understood? Organic layer, that means the upper part of the earth, it is the what include of O and A layer, and this is what contains humus, that means where decomposed of the animals and plants remain. Next, below this is the A layer, which is the mineral layer. Under the O layer, what you find? A layer. What is that? Here we found mineral layer. Understood? This organic layer, that is the upper part of the earth, and it is contains of what? O and A. Both O and A are included. First of all, we discussed about O layer. O means what? In O we get only in O humus is available. Humus in the sense what? Decomposed of plants and animals. Next, under the O layer we found what? A layer, and in the A layer what we get? We get the minerals. Next, the A layer is influenced by the O layer, which is why it is also rich in organic material. Understood? The A layer is also influenced by the O layer. That's why in the A layer also we can find rich in organic material. Next, the thickness of the organic layer is varies greatly. That means the thickness of the organic, that means when O layer, it is what? Different in greatly. How? It is thickest in the lower areas of river valley. That means this organic layer, it is very thick in the river valley or in the bank of river or river side. Agricultural activities take place in the organic layer, which is the layer where all other forms of vegetation grow. That means, listen carefully, A layer also influenced with the O layer. That's why in the A layer also we find rich organic material, and this thickness of the organic layer is different in different places. It is very thick in the river bank or river side, and almost all the agricultural activities take place in the organic layer, which is the layer where almost all the forms of vegetation grow. That means all kinds of vegetation and agricultural activities are done in the organic layer. This is why the organic layer is very important. That is the reason this organic layer is very important. But it is also the layer that is the most affected by erosion. What happened? This organic layer is mostly affected by soil erosion because when it rains, upper part of the soil is washed by the rain. It is also affected by the pesticides used in agriculture and other waste that settle in it. That means this layer, which layer? This organic layer also affected by the pesticide. What is pesticide? That means we are using the chemical to kill the insect or to fertilize the land. So those things also what affect the agriculture or the land. So in this paragraph we learn that the L layer also influenced by the O layer. Because of that reason it also has the rich in organic material. And the thickness of the organic layer is different in different places. It is very thick in the bank of river or riverside. That's why most of the agricultural activities take place over there. Not only that, all the vegetation grow in the organic layer. That's why organic layer is the very important. But what happened? These organic layer are affected by the soil erosion. As we cut the tree, so when it rains, the upper part or the organic layer is washed by the rainwater. In same time, it is also affected by the pesticide and insecticide. To kill the pest or insect in our agriculture, we use many kinds of chemical, and those chemicals are mixed with the upper part of the earth. So far we have been learning about organic layer. Next we will be learning mineral layer. Our next topic is mineral layer. This middle layer consists of the B layer. It contains very little organic matter. So this is the middle part of the soil and it is consist of B layer, and here very little organic matter we get, but in the O and L layer we get rich organic matter. The particles in this layer are also much larger than soil particles in the organic layers. That means the particles which we get in O and A are the particles which we find in B layer, they are larger than particles which we find in O and A layer. The roots of only those plants reach this layer that go deep. That means only the trees whose roots are long, they only can reach to this layer. Understood? The trees or plants whose roots are long, they only can reach or go till this layer. For example, the roots of a tomato plant remains in the organic layer, but those of mango tree reach the mineral layer. If we talk about a tomato tree, so tomato trees that roots are stay only in the or reach in the organic layer, that means O and A layer, but the root of the mango tree reaches to mineral layer. So what is mineral layer? That means it is the middle of the layer and it is consist of B layer. And in this layer organic matter is very less in compared to O and A, the particles of B layer is larger in size. only the root of those trees whose roots are long, they can reach to this layer. If you take an example of a tomato plant and mango tree, tomato plant roots are stay on the organic layer while the mango tree's roots goes to until the mineral layer. Next is bedrock layer. This is the lowest layer and includes the C and R. As we learn from the image that or the figure above that this bedrock is the lowest or the last layer. It is includes C and R layers. R is the lowest layer consists of underrock which break up to form the C layer that consists of broken rocks. That means R is the lowest layer and there or it is underground. There rocks are available and those rocks break and they form the C layer. That means consist of broken rocks. Understood? What is bedrock layer? This is the lowest or the last layer of the earth and in this layer C and R are available. So R is the lowest layer and in this layer what we found? We found big rock and this rock break into pieces and they form the C layer. Next topic, soil distribution in India. Soil distribution in India. 6 types of soils are commonly found in India. Listen carefully. In India, we found 6 types of soil. The main soil types is the alluvial soil that spreads across the river plains. So, in this sentence, it is said that the main soil or the important soil which we found in India is what? It is alluvial soil. It is alluvial soil and it spreads across the river plains. That means these types of soils are available in the river bank or riverside or river plains. This soil is very fertile and most suitable for agriculture. This alluvial soil is fertile and it is most suitable for agriculture. Next paragraph. Most of Chhattisgarh land are covered by red and yellow soil. Listen carefully. Most of the land of Chhattisgarh are covered by the red and yellow soil. Red soil is formed by the weathering of ancient metamorphic rocks in the Deccan Plateau. So how this red soil is formed? It is the changing of weather. How? Ancient metamorphic rocks in the Deccan Plateau. It gets its red color from its high iron oxide content. So why this rock become red? Because here the color gets from the high iron oxide content. The yellow color comes from the hydration of soil chemicals. The yellow color comes from the hydration of soil chemicals. So, in this paragraph, we learn that in India we found mostly 6 types of soil and the main soil which available in India is alluvial soil which is spread or across the river plains and which is very fertile and useful for the agriculture purpose. Most of Chhattisgarh lands are covered with red and yellow soil. Red is formed with the changing of the weather from the ancient metamorphic rocks in the Deccan Plateau. It gets red color from the high iron oxide content. Next, the yellow color comes from the hydration of soil chemicals. Next paragraph. Black soil is found in India's western state. We learn about alluvial soil, red soil and yellow soil. The next is black soil. Black soil is found in the western state, of India. This soil is suitable for cultivating cotton, wheat, etc. This black soil is suitable for what? For cultivating cotton and wheat. Black soil is made of very fine particles that have a very high moisture retention capacity. That means in the black soil it is made of very fine particles and they have a very high moisture capacity. Understood? Black soil is found in western state and this soil is suitable for cultivating cotton and wheat. And black soil is made of fine particles that have very high moisture capacity. Next is laterite soil. Laterite soil is found in the states where monsoon rains are heavy. That means the states where monsoon rains are heavy, in those states laterite soils are available. This soil develops in areas that experience high temperature and high rainfall. That means the area where the temperature is high or the rainfall is high, in those areas this soils develops. The heavy rains leach or wash away the fertile element of the soils. Because of the heavy rain, what happened? It washes out the fertile elements or organic layer of the soil. The humus content of this soil is also low, which is why large quantity of fertilizers are needed to grow crops. So in this area what happens, as the rainfall is more, soil erosion take place or upper part of the organic layer is washed out by the rain. That's why large number of fertilizer is needed to do agriculture in this soil. So what is laterite soil? Laterite soil found in the states where the monsoon rains are heavy. This soil develops through the experience of high temperature and high rainfall. Because of the heavy rainfall, the upper part of the organic layer of the earth is washed out by the rain, and that's why large quantity of fertilizers are needed to do cultivation in this area. Next, other soils includes dry or desert soil found in the Thar Desert and the forest soil of the Himalayas ranges. So we learn about alluvial soil, red soil, yellow soil, black soil, laterite. Next, what other soils includes the dry or desert soil, and those are found in the Thar Desert and the forest soil of the Himalayas ranges. So far we learned about soils or different layers of the soils. Then we learn different types of soils we found in India. There are 6 types of soils which mostly found in India. Those are alluvial soil, red soil, yellow soil, black soil, laterite soil. Other is dry or desert soils. Our next topic is land degradation and conservation. Land degradation and conservation. We have inherited our land from our ancestors. This sentence says that the land which we are having now, it was inherited or given by our ancestors or forefathers. We need to hand over this land to the next generation is in good condition. Listen carefully, the land which we are having now, it was given to us by our forefather or our ancestors. When they gave the land to us, they gave the land in a good condition. In the same way, we need to hand over this land to our next generation in the good condition. Humans can improve or degrade land through their activities. That means we human being, we can spoil or destroy the land. In same time, we can improve the quality of the soil. Understood? We human being, we can improve the land, or we can degrade, or we can destroy the land. How? Through our activities or through our work. How do we assess the quality of land? How do you or do we assess the quality of land? One measure could be how much vegetation or animals the land can support sustainably. This capacity will vary from place to place. What does this sentence says? That means one measure could be how much vegetation or animals the land can support sustainably. That means if you measure a piece of land, so in that piece of land, how much vegetation or how much animals can sustain. This capacity will vary place to place. So if you talk about a land, so it is different from place to place, because in one field we may get good crops, in other field we may get less amount of crops. So that's why it says that it is different from place to place. It can be same for a desert and an evergreen forest, but sometimes it may be same where in the desert area or evergreen forest area. When this capacity of the land support for life decreases, we say the land is degraded. That means the land has the capacity to produce a quantity of crops or to sustain a number of animals or creatures. But if the quantity decrease, then we say that the land is degraded. Understood? That means each land has its capacity and capacity to produce the quantity of crops. But from the same field, if we are unable to get that much of the quantity of crops, or if that much of animals or the life is unable to sustain, that means we can say that the land is degraded or the land is spoiled or destroyed. Let's take an example. For example, if the land is covered by sand after a flood, no vegetation grows. We know that during the flood or in the rainy season, maximum land are covered with the sand. Through how? Through the flood. And in that area or in that land, no vegetation grows or no plants grow over there. This land is degraded because plants and animals cannot get their nutrition from it like they got earlier before the flood. So now this land is degraded. How? Because now the plants, they are not getting nutrition, even the animals, they are not getting the plants and herbs for food. But before the flood, plants were getting nutrition, and the animals also getting nutrition from that, indirectly or indirectly. But when the flood came, the land was covered with sand, and on that sand no vegetation grows. That's why no plants or no animals get nutrition from that. That's why that land is called what? Degraded. That means such kinds of land are called what? Land degraded. Next paragraph. Human activities can lead to the land degradation in many ways. That means we human being, we do many kinds of activities, and because of our activities land can be degraded. When we plow dry land or land with a high gradient, the wind and water erodes the loosened soil, behind only large size particles and pebbles. That means for doing the agriculture, we plow the land. So when we plow the land, what happen? The land or the soil become dry, and as it dry, with the high, what happen? Through the wind, this upper part or the loosened land or the soil, it flew or fly by the wind. Only the large size particles and the small stones and pebbles stay back. The land then becomes unfit for pasture or agriculture. Now that land is become what? Unfit for pasture. That means to feeding the domestic animals or it is not suitable for agriculture. So in this paragraph we learn that human activities also can be lead to land degradation. We do many kinds of activities and through that land also get degraded. For example, if you plug the dry field, what happen? Through the sunlight the soil become dry and through the what wind it fly from one place to other. So when it fly, what happen? The only the large size of soils and stones or the pebbles it stay back. Now the land is become unfit for either for pasturing or agricultural activities. Next paragraph. We read the example of the Rajasthan Canal in the previous lesson. From the first chapter we have learned about Rajasthan Canal. Desert subsoil has high salt content. In the desert subsoil it has what? High salt content. Canal irrigation in desert area causes the salt to dissolve in water and rise to the top to form a hard crust over the soil. So in this sentence it is said that canal irrigation in a desert area causes the salt to dissolve in the water. As irrigation systems are there, so what happen? The salt they dissolve in the water and rise to the top to form a hard crust over the soil. As the water spread over the field, so upper part of the earth or the soil they form a hard crust over that. Next, plants cannot grow on this crust. So on this crust, as the salt dissolve in the water and they form a hard crust, over that plants cannot grow. This is also an example of land degradation. This is also what? An example of land degradation. Next, in Punjab, Haryana and western Uttar Pradesh, large tracts of agricultural land are irrigated. If you talk about Punjab, Haryana or Uttar Pradesh, large number of lands are irrigated. Flood irrigation causes water logging which leads to salinization of the soil. Because of the flood irrigation what happened? It causes the water logging and because of that what happened leads to salinization of the soil. So in this paragraph it is said that as we read the example of Rajasthan Canal in the previous lesson, the desert subsoil has the high salt content or uh, in the desert soil there is a large number of soil available. How? Because in the desert area there they have the irrigation system, so when they do irrigation the salt dissolve on the water and they form a hard crust on the upper part of the soil and on that soil no plant can grow. So this is an example of land degradation. In same time what happened in Punjab, Haryana and Uttar Pradesh, large number of land are irrigated and the flood irrigation causes what happen? Waterlogging and which leads to the salinization of the soil. Next paragraph. In the dry areas of Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra, excessive grazing is the main cause of land degradation. If we talk about dry area of Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, what happened? They have excessive grazing. That means they feed the domestic animals in large number. So this is also the main cause of land degradation. Grazing more livestock, then the land can support not just the grass and other vegetation but also expose the soil which gets degraded because of the wind erosion. That means if you are grazing more livestock on the land, so what happen? The grass are destroyed or the vegetation are destroyed in same time what happen, these soils are exposed, and when through the wind these soils are erodes. Understood? So in this paragraph it is says that in dry area of Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra, they have the excessive or too much grazing system. That means they graze the domestic animals. So when we graze more domestic animals, what happen? These domestic animals, they destroy the grass and vegetation of the land. And because of the more feeding this fodder, what happen? The land or the soil become exposed, and when wind comes, this upper part of the soil is eroded by the wind. Next paragraph. In open cast mining, the topsoil is removed and large pit is dug to extract mineral. We know that when the place minings are take place or minings are dig, so they remove the upper part of the soil. They remove the upper part of the soil and they dig large pit to extract minerals. After the mining operation end, the land has large pits with Davis stone all over. That means when the mines are being extracted, thereafter what happen? Those area left as a pit for long time. Now it is unfit for agriculture or other use. Now these land are unfit for either for agriculture or any other use. How? Because the upper part of the soil are removed, then they have dig the large pit, so it is very difficult to fill the pit. That's why these lands are now unfit for neither for agriculture nor for any other use. This is another example of land degradation. This is another example of land degradation. Mining is one of the main causes of degradation of forest land in Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh and Odisha. So, mining, it is one of the main cause of land degradation where the forest land of Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh and Odisha. So in this paragraph it is said that mining is another problem of land degradation where government or private company they dig mine, they remove upper part of the soil and they dig large pits, and after the mining is over they left the pit as it is, and those area are not fit for agriculture nor for any other use. So this is an example of land degradation. So mining is one of the main cause of land degradation or the forest land degradation in Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh and Odisha. Next paragraph. Another way in which land is degraded is by grinding limestone for the cement industry and talc for the clay pottery industry. So what is the another way in which land get degraded? That means grinding limestone. We know that in the cement factory, in the crusher, they grind the limestone. So what happens? These dust particles are carried by the winds and settle nearby land. Listen carefully. In the cement factory, limestone are being grinded. After grinding, during the grinding, what happen? Through the wind, these dust particles fly and reach to the near land, and this particles layer prevent the soil from absorbing water. That means when these dust are settled on the upper part of the ground, they prevent or they become hindrance for the organic layer to absorb or to sip the water. So in this paragraph it is said that another way in which the land is degraded is that grinding limestone in the cement factory. When the cement factory they grind the limestone, and during the grinding what happens, through the wind those dust particles fly and settle down nearby the land and they form a layer. So because of that reason the upper part of the soil or the organic layer they could not absorb the water. in the last few years, the discharge of contaminated water by industry has also caused water and land pollution in various parts of India. What happened? If we talk about last few years, many of the industry, they discharge the waste water of industry to the land, and because of that reason also what happened, it caused water and land pollution in different part of India, because after using the water in the industry and factory, they discharge or they leave that water into the river or the canal. In same time they also discharge or release to the land, and because of that reason both the water and land get polluted in the different part of India. It is estimated that about 13 to 19 crore hectares of Indian lands are currently degraded. So according to estimate, almost 13 to 19 crore hectares of Indian land are currently degraded. Of this, around 20% is degraded forest, 56% is water eroded, and the rest is wind eroded or saline. So, in this sentence, it is says that according to the estimate, 13 to 19 crore hectares of Indian land are currently degraded. Out of that, listen carefully, 28% is degraded forest. That means 28% of forest are degraded. Next, 56% of water erode. That means 56% of the land are erode or washed by water. Next, rest is what? Rest of the is erode or the removed by the wind. About 4.8 lakh hectare of land is degraded in Chhattisgarh. So if you talk about Chhattisgarh, 4.8 lakh hectares of land are now degraded. This is 35% of state's total land area. That means out of the 100% of land, 35% of lands are now degraded. The cause of degradation is mostly water erosion and acidification of soil, which affects crops. So how Chhattisgarh lands are, the soil is degraded? It is through what? Water erosion. That means through the rain or the water, soil are washed out, and what happened? Through the acidification. That means for insecticide and pesticide. In this way, most of the 30% of Chhattisgarh state's lands are degraded. Acidification can be controlled by adding lime to the soil. We can control the acidification. How? If we can add lime to the soil. In Durg, Janjgir, Korba and Raipur district, mining has caused land degradation. If we talk about Durg, Janjgir, Korba and Raipur district of Chhattisgarh, so land degradation is caused by mining. There are many ways of tackling land degradation. So we discuss many points in which way land is getting degradation, but there are many other way in which land get degradation. Afforestation and pasture can address the problem to some extent, especially on the land that is no longer suitable for agriculture. That means we can find out the solution, we can solve the problems only two ways. How? Through the afforestation, that means by planting tree or by reducing what? The pasturing system. That means we can extend somehow those land which is no longer suitable for agriculture. Similarly, ensuring proper irrigation according to the water holding capacity of the land can help prevent waterlogging and salinization. In same time, we can also solve this problem. How? By ensuring proper irrigation according to the water holding capacity. Because sometimes we do more irrigation, and because of that what happen? There is a waterlogging and salinization. So this can be controlled through proper irrigation system. So in this paragraph it is says that there are many other way in through which land get degradation, and it can be solved through the afforestation, that means by planting tree and by controlling the grazing of livestock. In same time we can also what control by controlling the irrigation according to the capacity of the land. If we can do, then we can prevent waterlogging and salinization. So far we have been learning how land get degradation, but now at the following point we are going to learn that how we can manage the land or land management. Land is a fixed resource while population keeps growing. We know that land is a fixed resource, but the population is day by day, year by year, it is growing. Our needs also keep increase, our lifestyle evolves. That means as the population grows, our needs also what? Increasing according to our lifestyle. More and more people from the village are migrating to urban areas. Now what happened? More and more people, they are migrating from village to cities and towns. This affect our land resource, and this thing is affecting our land resource. Migration lead to the rapid expansion of urban areas. As people from village or the rural area, they are migrating to urban areas. What happen in the urban areas? The demand of land increase, or urban area, the expansion increase. Colonies and factories are built on fertile cultivate land, while forests are cleared for agriculture and mining. So as the urban area increase, why? For the factories or for constructing house and etc. These things are constructed or built in the fertile land, and which is suitable for the cultivation. In same time, forests are clear or cut for what? For the agriculture and the mining activities. All this leads to stress on our land use. So in this paragraph it says that land is a fixed resource, but the population is increasing every year, and according to the increase of population, day by day the needs of people also increase. And one more problem is that nowadays the rural areas people are migrating to the urban area, so that also affect the land resources. As the people migrate to the urban areas, the demand of land increase, and in the agricultural field people construct house and colonies etc., and forests are being cleared for mining and agricultural activities. It is important that land is properly managed and put to proper use. That's why it is important that we should manage the land properly and we should use the land properly. The following methods can be adapted to ensure good and land management. So we can apply or follow the following methods to manage the land and to use the land properly. The first point, plan development of our towns and villages. That means the towns and village has to be planned or developed according to the planning. Our village and towns are growing and encroaching of agricultural land. As the villages and towns are increasing, so slowly they are what happen? Using agricultural land for making houses, colonies, industry, factory, mall, etc. Unused land is also available within urban areas, so if there is proper planning to develop towns and villages, this problem can be handled better. In same time, it is said that in the towns and cities, unused lands are also available. So if those lands can be used properly, or if you are planning to develop towns or villages, then problem can be handled better. So in this paragraph it is says that Villages and towns are increasing and they are using agricultural land for constructing house, colonies, etc. But in the same time, in the village and urban area, there are unused land. So those land can be used for constructing house, factory, industry, or bus stand, etc. So if we can plan and develop the town and city, then it can solve the problem. Next, use of barren land. Barren land can be used in two ways. Barren land, it can be used in two ways. How? First, it can be used for non-agricultural activities. What is barren land? That means unfertile land where agriculture is not suitable. So first of all, such kinds of lands can be used for non-agricultural activities. Non-agricultural activities in the sense that, okay, we can make bus stand, we can make the industry, we can make factory, we can make a shopping mall, we can make house. For all these activities can be take place on the barren land. Second, option is to improve the land for agriculture or pasture development. Second thing is that we can use the method or we can improve the fertility of the barren land for the agriculture and the pastoral purpose. This will help to expand the acre of land agriculture while reducing the extent of wasteland. So if we are doing these kinds of work, then our agricultural land will be used properly, while this barren land also can be used properly. So what is use as a barren land? That means barren land can be used in two ways. First of all, it can be used for the non-agricultural activities. That means we can construct house, we can build bus stop, or we can make factory, industry, or shopping mall, etc. And second thing is that, okay, we can improve the fertility of the barren land for the agriculture activities and for pastoral development. Next, use of fallow land. Fallow land, especially old fallow, can be used for agriculture or horticulture. That means this fallow land, okay, it can be used for agriculture or horticulture. This will help improve productivity. That means if you are doing, then it can be helped to improve the productivity. Next is forest conservation and afforestation. That means to conserve or to save the forest and to plant the tree. Forests are a resource that take many years to regenerate. We know that forest is a resource. It takes many years to regenerate or to replenish. So forests should be used in a planned and systematic manner. That's why we need to use the forest in the planned and systematic manner. Fully grown trees should be harvested only to the extent that they can be replaced. That means the tree which is fully grown, that has to be harvested only if they can replaced. 23% of Indians' land is forested. Out of 100%, now only 23% of Indians' land are forested. There are under forest needs, the area under forest need to be expand to maintain the environmental balance. That means now we have only 23% of land which is covered by forest, but we have to extend, we have to increase the forest land. Then only we can maintain the environmental balance. So in this paragraph it says that forest is an important resource and which takes many years to regenerate or replenish. That's why we need to use the forest in a planned and systematic manners. Fully grown trees should be harvested and we have to replace that. If we estimate only 23% of our India land are now forested, and that's why it is our duty to increase the forest land, then only we can maintain the environmental balance. Next is controlling soil erosion. Erosion, waste deposition and use of chemical fertilizer and pesticides are leading to soil depletion. That means how to control the soil erosion. We know that erosion or the waste deposition, that means as we talk that industry factory they are okay discharging waste water and this powder or which are flying from this limestone or the cement factory which degraded the land. So in same time fertilizers, pesticide, insecticides, all these things what happen, they are destroying the land. This reduce the fertility of the soil and decrease the productivity of agricultural land. So which things, the soil erosion or the waste deposition, or we can say fertilizer, insecticide, pesticide, all these things what happen, they destroy the land's fertility. Hence controlling soil erosion etc. will help increase in productivity. That means if you are controlling the soil erosion or if you are not using such kinds of chemicals or insecticide, pesticide, then we can what, control the soil erosion. The last one is using land around our house. That means how we should use our land around our homes. Quite a lot of land lies unused outside homes in village and urban neighborhoods. Either it is okay urban area or the rural area or the village or near our home. There are okay, plenty of land which are there without use or with unused. This land can be put to productive use. For example, it can be used for cultivation or seasonal plants and vegetable. So those lands should be used for what? Cultivation. That means we can plant for seasonal plants and vegetables. So in this point it says that there are plenty of land which is lies or near to our home, towns and urban areas. So those land can be used for cultivation or for seasonal plants or vegetation. So this is what our lesson, land resources.